Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 222nd episode of the Voluntary Viewing podcast, recorded on May 15th, 2023. On the podcast today, we're going to have a man describe both his emotional reaction and strategic analysis of the Bucks' own Coach Bud getting shit canned, Andrew Clark.
Sad. Good.
Wow.
When I say good, I do not mean that like I'm happy that Bud got fired. I'm very sad about it. It also sucks that his brother literally died in the middle of the series. Like, he probably was not thinking straight, and so some of his fuck ups were probably just due to the fact that he wasn't all there, which is super understandable.
Right.
He got us a fucking chip, man. Like, he got the Milwaukee Bucks a championship. Well, Giannis got us a championship.
I was gonna say, like,
Bud helped a lot. Like, he helped put together a team that was capable of winning, and then they fucking did it.
Yeah,
like, that's awesome. Bud deserves to be in the Bucks Hall of Fame. Like, I'm gonna say it. Like,
yeah.
But it was a weird couple of years that he had as coach, because almost that entire sequence, the Bucks were kind of the best team in the NBA, and everyone knew it.
Yeah.
And they were the best regular season team the last 4 years. Everybody agrees on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, other than the year we won the championship, we kind of lost in embarrassing fashion each year. And it's like he was incapable of adjusting to the postseason. I mean, we came very close to not even getting to the finals the year that we won. And then we lost the first 2 games of the final series. And just by the grace of God, had one of the most epic NBA comebacks in championship history.
Yeah. Like, that is... It's weird because as a Bucks fan, as a malnourished Bucks fan, like that playoff run, that's gonna be in my memory. Like, that is, I'm gonna forget the voice of my father as dementia starts to take over before I forget some of the highlights of that playoff run. But like, I don't know, like, especially with the Heat still doing way better than like they have any right to be. It's weird, you know?
This whole playoffs is fucking weird, dude.
Yeah.
Like, we had a long ass conversation on the podcast a while back about how the Lakers were not frauds, but like nobody should be afraid of them because, like, you know, there were 14 teams better than them. The Lakers went fucking nuclear in the playoffs against good teams.
Like,
and the Heat are doing the same. Like, we didn't see this out of them, and then all of a sudden they're like, okay, wait, we're big franchises that know how to win. We're just gonna do that instead of losing. and like, it's fucking weird.
If the conversation is switching more broadly to just what the playoffs looks like right now, it's so weird to say, wow, I'm surprised the Lakers and the Miami Heat are doing this well in the NBA.
5 years ago, we'd be laughed at for saying something like that.
Right? It's, man, like, I know it's just by the virtue of how the playoffs work, it's like hard by the end of it not to say that one team is definitively better than the other, but really feels like the Warriors are better than the Lakers, but they just...
And it really felt like the Bucks were better than the Heat.
Yeah.
They just... Neither team played like it.
Even during that series, it was... Man, Bucks pulling ahead far and away with every win, and every win the Heat got, it felt like they had to play lights out the entire time.
Yeah.
And like, they just kept doing that, and then they did it again against the you just said them, the fraudulent guy.
The Heat were playing the Knicks.
Yeah. And then they kept beating the Knicks.
Granted, the Knicks did not look good. The Knicks And the Knicks were not a powerhouse. The
Right.
Knicks were really bad for a really long time and just kind of put something together this year.
Yeah.
But like the Bucks loss was embarrassing.
Right.
I mean, very like incredibly embarrassing. Like this will hurt forever. If we win the championship next fucking year, this series loss will still hurt.
Unless
It
it
was
keeps going, unless the Heat ends up winning everything, and then it's like,
still the Heat were the fucking 8th seed. They lost to a play-in team. Like they barely made the playoffs. Like they were one win away from getting eliminated
yeah,
before the playoffs even started. And they beat the best team by far in the NBA, at least in the regular season, and not close. They stomped us. They killed us.
I
They pissed on our graves.
God, and maybe this is just a further argument for why I just can't with regular season basketball because, like, what's it matter? The playoffs are so big and huge and sprawling already that it's like, I don't know. I get an entire fandom's worth of entertainment just tuning in for the Bucks when they're in or around the playoffs. Like it.
Yeah,
And what is being the best regular season team even worth? Apparently,
I mean, yeah, because like if you go an entire playoffs, if you win the championship, you play that amount of games. That's like what, half of the regular season?
it feels like it.
The regular season is like 2/3 of the season if you end up going all the way.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I don't know. The regular season matters, but like it doesn't matter as much as people think it does. It's not like football. I don't know.
And they intentionally
Just
did
sad.
this. The NBA intentionally did this where they widened any decent team can get into the playoffs now or have a chance to play into the play, whatever. But yeah, no, I will admit, like, I had always had the vibe that 2021, maybe the Bucks won it all a little bit in spite of Coach Bud rather than directly because of him. Maybe that's selling him short a little bit, but it's still.
You're right. Like, but Bud did not have a good playoffs. He kept playing the wrong guys, and everyone knew it. That like championship series, though, he did coach out of his mind.
Yeah.
He really got his shit together. Some of that was just put your best players on the court all the time, which is, I mean, but that was also a thing that he had a problem with before, is he would play just random dudes that he liked for no reason and like assign guys to the wrong like offensive player. And yeah,
or he's been faking it till he makes it the entire time and was like, yeah, no, I genuinely think Jeff Teagues is the 8th best man on our roster right now. He should play. He'd have 20 minutes of playing time every series, like, as a rule.
20 minutes, 0 points, shooting like 0 for 16, 2 rebounds, 4 fouls. But like when you are as good as the Bucks have been, the expectations are really high.
Yeah.
Like if the Bucks had just, lost in the first round of the playoffs and it was sad, Bud wouldn't have gotten fired. But like we have had the best team 3 or 4 years in a row. And like I know it sounds really childish to be like, and we only got one championship out of that. But like you had so many shots at getting a championship. You could have had reasonably one of the best dynasties of the last 30 years. And like we kind of found ways to fumble away most of those chances. And that goes to coaching. And so like you get to the point where like good isn't good enough. You need someone that can take you to the next level. And we got to the next level, but now we need someone to take us to that next level because we're going to run out of time. Our roster's old as fuck. Like we need to keep Giannis around. And Giannis is not a petty guy, like famously so. But like if you're Giannis, it doesn't matter how humble you are. At a certain point, you can be like, I'm the best player in basketball. I should be somewhere where I can win every single fucking year.
Or at the very least is paid somewhere where that's true, where he can like more easily get ad deals that capitalize on that. God, yeah, this is Brook Lopez's best year ever, maybe, and we didn't
Yeah,
make it past the first round of the playoffs. That's just frustrating as someone. I like basketball is a really good sport.
it
We've
is.
invented a really good sport, and yeah, we missed an opportunity to. I'm not going to say Brook Lopez is one of the best there ever was, but a really interesting player playing at the
A
top of
really
his
important
game.
guy to this
Like,
team and
yeah,
has been for a while. Yeah.
frustrating.
He played out of his fucking gourd this season.
Yeah,
And like he won't be that good next year. Brook Lopez could still be pretty good.
right.
He's not going to be that good. Just that like you just can't sustain that at his age with the caliber of player that he is. He's not LeBron James. He can't be an all NBA all-star first team defense every single year in his late 30s. He can't do that.
And he doesn't need to be for the Bucks to make it to the playoffs.
No.
But yeah, I forget the bubble year. Did we make it to the conference finals in the bubble year?
I want to say we got beat out in the second round by the
Right.
Heat.
And like
I can't
that's
remember.
and yeah, I mean like that's what yeah, the Bucks feel like, what the Bucks are right now. Like, okay, cool. We won the finals 1 year, and that was spectacular. We won everything 1 year. We got the championship, but then every other year outside of that, we got beat out in like the second round, which yeah, we're better than that. And I think that does come down to coaching.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm Lucas the writer. I watched the John Mulaney special. You see this?
I saw a I know that I'm going to get absolutely lit up for this by the 0 people that watch this podcast, but I watched a lot of this on YouTube Shorts.
Yeah.
So I saw a lot of 1-minute clips from this, and I see how you wrote it in the planning document, and it is funny. I'm not going to try to pretend that John Mulaney isn't funny. I was never really that into him, but he is a
Right.
funny guy. But yeah, it is a lot of him just posting L's online.
Which is like a genre of comedy. I think I speak for a lot of people when I say I'm getting a little tired of that. Like
Yeah.
John Mulaney made a little, and like he had his own take on it, and that was interesting. But he made a little bit of a cancel culture joke, and it's like, this is old hat at this point.
Yeah, it was just a lot of I'm a drug addict. You guys want to hear about my intervention and how I went to rehab and how all of that was really bad and my life was in shambles and I'm still doing fine despite all of that shit. And it's like, oh, okay.
But it was entertaining. I laughed a lot. There's some stuff that like I felt bad about laughing about. But no, he's really good. The mechanics of comedy, like the delivery, like the cadence, pro at all of that stuff. But just yeah, and like I don't know what like. I actually don't know where I'm going with it. Maybe this is like the only way a special could have gone. Maybe he only could have like talked about this stuff, made jokes about this stuff, following like his very public trip to rehab and life upheaval. Like maybe this had to happen for him to be the more interesting comedian and writer that like he is very easily capable of being. So yeah, that's what I got.
Huh.
The bit where he was like, do you know how annoying it is to have 14 people responsible for saving your life?
Yeah. And it's like, oh, for the rest of my life, I have to get 14 different people dinner every single time we go out. No,
Yeah.
you saved my life. The bit of him talking about Fred Armisen just like not doing an accent or a bit and having and how much it fucked with him during his intervention. Like, we're really worried about you, man. That reminds me, I watched a little bit more of Barry.
Oh, how much
Fred
more? You caught up?
Armisen as the really bad gadget assassin. um
Okay, that worked so well in my humble opinion because they had Guillermo del Toro at the top of it, and you're like, oh my god, that's Guillermo del Toro playing a role you wouldn't associate with him. They used up the cameo budget in.
Wait, Guillermo del Toro is in there?
Yeah, he was like the Mexican like assassin guy that was talking to NoHo Hank and Cristobal.
Oh, the Toro guy with the
Yeah,
hat. I didn't know that was
Guillermo
Guillermo
del
del Toro.
Oh my god, that's what made the Fred Armisen thing work for me, because I thought, well, they got Guillermo del Toro, that's gonna be it for this one.
And then all of a sudden he's just there sweating bullets. Okay, I know we're laughing about this, but I do have to say I hate this season so fucking much. It is not funny. There's so few jokes, and the ones that are there are just like kind of okay. It's so dark. It's so heavy. It is taking itself so fucking seriously. I hate literally every single character in this. The only thing that had are you caught up?
Yes, yeah.
Because I stopped watching halfway through episode 5 because I just couldn't fucking take it anymore. The only thing that this show had going for it at this point was NoHo Hank and Cristobal, and they had to go full on no, there is no comedic relief in this comedy show anymore. We're killing off the only thing that you care about in the show. The only thing that was worth watching about it is just gone in a very dramatic, sad fashion. And what the fuck is Sally's character, dude? Why is she even there anymore? Why is she there? What decisions has she made that make sense in any context? Regardless of what her character is, they don't make any sense. They definitely don't make any sense for the character that she has. And are you fucking kidding me? A 10-year time jump and they're just hanging out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere? Fuck you. This is not that series of a show. This is not that show. Fuck you. This sucks. It's not funny. It's not entertaining. And I don't want to watch it anymore.
I think it's funny in like a cosmic sense.
Oh my god. Suffering, tragedy plus time equals comedy, and there's so much tragedy, and plus there's a 10-year time jump. So that means that it's funny.
It's kind of ridiculous that they did that, though. It's
ridiculous doesn't equal funny and or artistic.
Did you watch we're doing this on a Monday, yesterday's episode?
No, I didn't. I'm telling you, dude, I stopped halfway through episode 5. I don't know if I'm gonna pick it back up. I probably will at some other point, just binge the last couple episodes.
You might writer's strike going the way
completely lost me.
I was gonna say writer's strike going the way it's going. You might not have much else you're able to watch.
Yeah,
pretty quick. But I don't know. I kind of understand where you're coming from. It's yeah, it is different than what the show was in season 1, but also I don't know where you're expecting these characters to end up, or how
it's a television show. They can end up anywhere you want. I don't understand the whole thing where all of a sudden towards the end of last season and then throughout this whole thing, Barry is just actually schizophrenic and not seeing things that aren't there, just having weird avant-garde visions. I don't know, dude. It's dumb.
He's mentally unwell. He is medically psychotic.
Barry was always a bad guy who was trying to be good, and you could, if not root for him, at least understand him and kind of like him. Yeah. There's not a shred of likability in Barry anymore as a character. Not only is he just a heinous human being without a single redeemable quality, but he's also just not fun to watch anymore. Barry's recovered version of himself is just the lamest, most boring person on planet Earth, who also is not just lame, but really dumb. Barry out in the, where are they, fucking Idaho?
I think so, yeah.
He's an idiot. And not a funny idiot, just a boring guy. He's He's the guy. He he's Colin Farrell from the Banshees of Inisherin, except he's also not nice. He's just dull.
Because you dropped in the middle of the episode, you maybe didn't get this joke. And because you stopped in the middle of the episode, I'm not going to feel bad about spoiling this. It becomes clear in that episode after that time skip that, like, he is prepping his son to, like, love him once he tells his son about the truth of who he is. And that is so dark and ridiculous and terrible that I can't help but laugh at that.
That's not funny, though.
I'm still liking it. I like
I'm
it
not
as
mad
much,
at you
differently
for
as, like,
liking
season
it.
2. Okay.
But like
Thank you.
I cannot be convinced that this is a good series of television. Like, I'm so bummed out about this. Not just because this is a bumming show, but it's like, I liked Barry a lot. I liked it so much. And I was on your side for a lot of season 3. Like, I know that Ryan also didn't like last season. I thought season 3 had a lot going for it. It just, didn't stick the landing, I don't think. This season, though, man, I really got to give it like a 1 out of 10.
Wow. You don't watch enough bad TV to give something a 1 out of 10. But you know what? Fair.
Hey, it's like we talked about with the Bucks. Expectations are skewed. Sometimes. Like, Barry was a good enough show that when it drops the ball this hard, you kind of got to light it up more than you would, do to a show that was just okay.
I don't know if I agree with that, but fair. I'm really glad you phrased it that way, though, because Ryan's on assignment, by the way, everyone. Not with us today, which is fun because Andrew and I are going to be talking about a video game that literally the moon expected of it. The moon that may or may not be falling, and you gotta collect a bunch of masks to stop it from killing everyone. The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. But unlike Barry, for Andrew, this game seems to be meeting all of those expectations. Andrew, what are you thinking about Tears of the Kingdom? Where are you in this?
It's good.
Oh, it's so fucking good.
It's good. Dude, it's crazy. Like, it's really fucking good.
Yeah.
I mean, Breath of the Wild is, I know there's some like technical recency bias, but it's been 6 years.
Yeah.
And people have not changed their opinion on that game.
No.
It's one of the best games of all time, for sure. No one's going to argue against that. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It's one of a lot of people's favorite games of all time. The expectations for this game were wild.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of met that perfect balance of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And let's give them something new, some new shit that's really going to change the game and like make it better. Like, it really hits that.
So the couple of this is going to be full of spoilers, at least as much as we've played the game, discussion around it, yada yada. If you want to go in completely fresh, which I don't think that's even really possible or necessary for a game like Breath of the Wild, but don't listen to this. People who aren't listening to this already. I think a big part of the concern going into this game, going into like a sequel to Breath of the Wild, was, the Legend of Zelda franchise has done this a couple times before. Majora's Mask, sequel to Ocarina of Time, a bit of derision there. Link Between Worlds, direct sequel to Link to the Past. Big derision there over whether or not it meets that bar or what's going on there. I think something that's pretty different about Breath of the Wild, though, and Tears of the Kingdom compared to those previous direct sequels, like, people finished Breath of the Wild and were down for more Breath of the Wild. Like, everyone who played that game, everyone who stopped either because they got all the shrines or was like, I've put 200 hours into this. I need to be done with this now, but I can keep going back to it because it's still such a great sandbox. People have been down for just like a Breath of the Wild too. And not to be reductive of Tears of the Kingdom,
But
but
that's what it is.
yeah,
That's what it was originally announced as, the sequel to Breath of the Wild.
right.
Like, sorry, continue. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I think I was done talking, but I can keep going. Yeah, that is I finished the tutorial area. And now I am in the like first area on land, exploring that, knocking out a couple of shrines there. I will say I think the tutorial area for Tears of the Kingdom is a little weaker than of Breath of the Wild, but that's more because the Great Plateau is just such a phenomenal like vertical
Microcosm of the entire map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that is yes. But no, that was still a really strong opening and like opening area.
Yeah. So I will say this, and this is not a criticism of the game. It goes back to that like perfect balance I hit before. Tears of the Kingdom is just Breath of the Wild, but more. It is just that game, but with more in it. I mean, the tutorial is exactly the same as Breath of the Wild. It is fucking identical, just like with like a palette swap. and then you get down to the surface and it is the same overall map, just with some changes. I mean, like, and I don't mean to like try to sell it short.
Right.
Like it's the same map, but there are changes to it. And the changes I think are pretty significant.
Right.
And not like geographically, but like stuff to do. Like there's more there. There's more people. But then you get into the whole idea that like you have the entire game of Breath of the Wild, and then they just added more shit to it. There are more of the I guess you would call them the main quests. Like they have what I would say are almost certainly going to be the equivalent of the divine beast. Like go to the four corners of the map and check that shit out. What's going on there?
And they
meet some NPCs and side characters. What?
With where you are in the game, does it feel like they're really telegraphing, hey, you can go anywhere. You should really go to the Rito village first. Go hang out with the bird people. That's where you want to.
Yeah.
Northwest. Go that way.
Yeah, because everyone I was talking to, they were like, oh man, I'm hearing some weird shit about what's going on in the Rito village. Sounds like it's really cold. Yeah, getting a lot of that. I probably will go there first just because the game is telling me I should. So maybe there's a reason for that. But like, then I met up with Impa and she's like, hey, there's all these weird Nazca lines all over the fucking map. What's going on with that? And then that's how you get the memories, or not the equivalent of the memories from Breath of the Wild.
Which was something I was deeply curious about going into the game, because that's how like most of the narrative of that game happens. Those like 1 to 2 minute long cutscene flashbacks.
Yeah. But like, I think there's just going to be more of that. Like, I don't think it's going to be a super deep story.
Yeah.
But it's going to be enough. And like,
that's fine.
Yeah. That's all we need in this game. Like, it doesn't work like that with every game. Most games I need a pretty strong narrative for, but like, they figured out how to just like not really put too much emphasis on that, just do a good enough job. But then there's 3 goddamn layers of this map.
That was going to be my question. Have you been underground yet?
I have not. I'm too afraid. I've been in plenty of caves, but I haven't gone in the actual chasms because that shit's scary. It's dark down there.
I would recommend that you get to that sooner rather than later. Meeting up with Robbie down there is how you unlock the camera function on your. It's not a Sheikah slate anymore. It's a Pura pad.
Yeah,
worst name, but whatever.
Pura grew up. That was weird.
I have no idea how much time has passed.
Exactly.
Like Link and Zelda look exactly the same, but they're both 100+ years old due to fantasy malarkey.
Well, so is Pura.
Right. I have no idea how much time has passed between like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And I especially have no idea how much time has passed between Zelda falling into the chasm, but maybe not really. and Link losing his jerk off arm and like waking up on Sky Island.
Yeah. Link got roofied, woke up on the rooftop of the Bellagio. His girlfriend's missing. And he got a handy from a stranger.
I was gonna, I was gonna make a joke. Link probably hasn't needed that arm very much since Zelda came back, but now she's gone again. So oh no.
It feels like a stranger's doing it.
Because it is. Although that is a weird lore thing I wanted to bring up. Or did you have a...
Well, no. You go ahead with the lore.
That is a weird lore thing I wanted to bring up because the Zonai, that guy, which fantastic that they introduce a new race of people within like the first 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah, they're like, oh, by the way, history is deep. Wow, new people. It's been under the castle the whole time. Whatever, I believe it. Don't give a shit.
You got it, Chief. His name is Rauru. And I think that's a reused name across the like Zelda canon. I think that was the Sage of Light in the in Ocarina of Time, and like villages are the name of a village, the name of a sage prior to that. That's weird, and I wonder how that's going to tie into everything. Because right now I am getting some, I don't know, I'm getting some colonialist vibes from this game. I am getting like, yeah, there's a race of this super technologically advanced people, one of which, the hero of which, shares the name with the first king of Hyrule. What could that mean? But now they're gone, and like, Raru's saying stuff like, oh, well, kind of weird that the kingdom is in the sky now. The Zonai kingdom is in the sky now when it used to be on the surface. And like, previous Zelda game, Hylians used to live in the sky, and they moved on to the surface with the blessing of a goddess.
Oh, do you think they like sent the Zonai away to the sky?
Maybe, and when you do
I think Zelda said that the Zonai originated from the sky, though.
Right. But
at least at the beginning, she said that.
Yeah. But like, that's where Hylians came from. So
I mean, I don't know if the developers really care about the lore all that much. I'm just gonna say that. Because I mean, like, at least in the Breath of the Wild, they made it very clear that this is kind of its own universe.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, 10,000 years ago, all this shit happened. And there were the robot octopus things. And
right.
And now there's like this whole other layer of ancient civilization. And it's like, yeah, you can make stuff up. I don't care.
But then they made an official Zelda timeline. So
they wanted to sell merch. I mean, but also we know that there's multiple Zelda timelines. Like, that's part of the game, is that there's multiple timelines, multiple dimensions. It doesn't really matter all that much.
But then a great sequence of the game. I went to an area I recognized from the first game, called, it's either like the Great Tree Stump or the Giant Tree Stump. And in the first game, you go there, it's a giant like tree stump in the middle of a lake. And in the first game, there was a fire sword, but in this game, it's hollowed out now because time has passed. So you jump in there, go through a cave, fight a whole like mini dungeon, and at the end of it, you get an item, which was a DLC item in the first game called something like Fierce Deity's Boots, and it's like the item description references Majora's Mask and like that whole canon of game. So I don't know. I think
those are more Easter eggs,
or if it's maybe
because you can unlock the face of Link from Link's Awakening in this game. Like, it's just items, man. Like, it doesn't matter. So what have you done in the game? You did the tutorial, you jumped off the Sky Islands, you went down. So it sounds like you met Purah, so I'm guessing you got the paraglider.
Yeah, and that was weird, man.
Not having the paraglider for a while. Yeah. Because that's where it wants you to go. So that I didn't go there. I did 10 shrines
Jesus
I went to like
Christ.
4 different areas in the map before I went back there to get the paraglider.
Before you
And
even had the ability to like unlock the map parts of those maps of
yep.
Jesus.
Yeah. I came across a couple different shrines where the paraglider was necessary. So I MacGyvered my way around it. And that's what makes this game so fucking cool.
Right.
Is that like, yeah, there is a right way to do things. And you can say, screw you, I'm gonna do something really hard instead.
I I think from the trailers, we know that the abilities from the previous Zelda game, from Breath of the Wild, those come back eventually.
Do they?
I think I
I
remember
don't
seeing that.
I don't think so.
You don't,
No, I don't think so. Because you don't need magnesis because
right?
Ultra Hand
Ultra
is
Hand, yeah.
everything. Um, I think they got rid of the bombs because they were too cheesy and it kind of like messed with what they were trying to do with like
Also, we have
fusion and items and
we have
arrows and that kind of stuff.
and we have bomb flowers back, and they're getting the job done, and they're plentiful enough that that's never a concern for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
But then yeah, my follow-up point was going to be that the new like key abilities, the new Sheikah Slate abilities are good and interesting enough that like maybe it's fine. Maybe
it's
it's
definitely fine.
yeah,
Like, I mean, the only one that I miss is the bombs because I could
right.
use it to cheese and it's better, it's more fun to not cheese. I mean,
Mhm.
the frozen pillar one was dumb.
Yeah.
Like I barely used that unless it was necessary for a puzzle.
And you can like build boats now, and like you
Yeah.
have the gotcha capsules with fans and other propulsion systems in there. So like that's fine.
Yeah.
Mm. Um,
Yeah, and like you don't have to do the freeze time one because you can reverse time. Like I don't
can you cast rewind on enemies?
no, you can't. I don't
Oh,
well,
okay.
for all I know, like there's an upgrade to it. Maybe you can later
Oh,
on.
because the original game had that's another thing I'm running into in this game. Like forgetting like a little bit of like, wait, is this a quality of life improvement or was this like a thing that was always in the original game? Like the ability to drop when you open a chest now and you're full of like weapons or shields or whatever, being able to drop them immediately. I like that. I can't remember if that was in the original game or
It
not.
was not.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good
no,
quality of life improvement.
yes, exactly. The like whole recipe thing where you can just like find something with like the stats that you want
Yeah.
and it'll put the items in your hand for it. Like that's new.
Mm-hmm.
I really like fusion, not just because like it's fun to make weird, wacky like duct tape weapons, but
Right.
because like oh, I don't have any room in my inventory. Let me just glue a sword to a sword. And now I got double sword.
I haven't done that yet.
It's
Oh shit.
and not reverse, not like a Darth Maul. Like you tape a sword handle onto the end of a sword, and you just got a really long sword.
It's like your favorite scene from Deadpool 2 when what's his name takes out all of his guns and puts them together to make an even bigger gun.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, sure, okay, I'm down for this.
Yeah, I think any weapon can be fused to any weapon, and I think pretty much every item can be fused to a weapon. Like you can put food on weapons. And some of them have effects. Like
Oh.
I guess like if you put a mushroom on a spear,
Mhm.
it makes people bounce.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
uh,
Um,
I
and
don't
like
know what happens if you put meat on it.
I don't think anything. Or I think maybe it's like enemies start hurting back. I haven't tested that one out very much yet. But I have been using that fuse ability to get around like the lack of a bomb. Mostly just by duct taping bombs onto arrows or weapons that are about to break that I'm gonna chuck anyway. So then I creep up to an encampment and get to an elevated position, and instead of dropping a magic bomb, I tape a bomb onto a sword and throw it into the middle of camp. So it explodes and does a bunch of damage and causes chaos, and then I just pick people off.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh, good game.
It is a really good game. I mean, like I hate to sound like I'm shilling so hard, but like that feeling when you're like, oh man, I don't know how to get around this puzzle because I don't have this item, or like I'm just not good enough
Mhm.
at doing what it wants me to do. So I just take a platform and extend it out to where I need to go, and then bring it back and hit rewind and just jump on the platform because it will take me over there. Like that's fun. That's so cool.
I haven't I haven't thought to use it like that yet. I didn't know you
Yeah,
could.
yeah, you could. At one point in the Sky Island, I didn't have like I had tried to build a rocket and I fucked it up
Yeah.
and it like flew off somewhere. But I had two of those floating platforms. So I jumped on one, moved the other one towards where I needed to go, jumped on that one, then moved to the first one in front of me and did that like 20 times and got over to where I needed to go. It was tedious, but it worked.
Hey, you got there. You did
Yeah,
it. And this game rewards that.
exactly.
It's I'm not going to take credit for this one, but well, both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are fantastic at making you as a player feel like a genius for solving some of these situations, some of these puzzles. Tears of the Kingdom, the solutions can be and often are so much goofier than anything you could invent in Breath of the Wild, and that's in the spirit of the game, I think. And this game has made me realize that a big part of, I think, why Zelda is so appealing, why this universe, why all of these games are so appealing, is just because the people in them, the actual characters, minus Zelda and sometimes Link, they're fucking dumbasses, man. They're just little baby idiots,
I
and they
yeah,
need your help so much.
and you want to help them even though they suck ass.
I ran into a group of people about to raid a monster encampment. They're all volunteers. I don't think they're getting paid. I think the monster confrontation force or whatever they're called. I think those are just a bunch of like redneck farmers looking for something to do on the weekend. They were going out there with like pots on their heads as helmets. It's not.
Exactly.
Oh, buddy, have you have you have you met Hudson's #1 fan yet?
Yeah, Addison. Yeah,
Yes.
dude, I've run into this fucking idiot like 6 times. It just doesn't know how to hold up a sign. So I have to like duct tape pieces of wood and random shit
Yes.
together to make the sign stand up. And it's fun, but I'm like, God, you, Addison, you fucking loser.
I
And then he's like, oh man, I never would have thought of that. Here, take all this really good shit.
I
That
was
that was so much funnier than the fact that like this guy couldn't hold a sign up was that when I stood the sign up for him, he gave me so much stuff.
well, oh, you did a basic carpentry for me. Here is $50, an elixir, and like my special homemade rice balls that will heal more health than what you have right now.
Yeah, like it's oh man, I
I
love it.
so I not to rag on another open world game, another sequel to an open world game that did this, but I legitimately got giddy in the opening segment of Tears of the Kingdom when the gloom or whatever is attacking Link, and just in the upper left corner, you see the hearts tick back down to
Yeah,
3. And it's like, all right, this is how we do it. Diegetically back to basics.
exactly. Yeah, dude, this oh man. And so that was a problem that we've talked about it before, where a lot of games do this, where you spend a game building up your character, making them this unkillable badass, and then in the sequel, they're like, due to story reasons, you have to do it all over again.
Yeah.
I was 2 hours into Jedi Survivor before like Zelda showed up at my doorstep 24 hours early. Yeah, that's another thing. I played this game before any of you, you fucking losers,
Jackass.
because GameStop fucked up my order in a good way. And
I'm
I got the game on Thursday, May 11th at like noon.
I'm so
And
happy for you. I hate you, but I'm so happy for you. That is
yeah,
legitimately dope.
like, yeah, it was so cool. I was like, what the hell is this? I didn't order anything that was supposed to come today. And then all of a sudden, the glowing chest from Pulp Fiction was there. Like, but anyway, like Jedi Survivor says, fuck that, you're still the unkillable badass you were at the end of the first game.
Okay. I heard Jedi Survivors did that. I heard it rather than like rather than nerf mullet douchebag Colin, it just kind of like gives you more cool stuff to do. Like it builds on what was already existing.
Yeah, it introduces tougher enemies eventually and gives you more stuff to do. But you have every single ability that you had in the last game. And the enemies that you face in this game that carry over from the last game are still easy to handle now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no, I thought that was really cool. I was really, really enjoying that game. It was fun as shit. It's really cool. I'm gonna enjoy playing the rest of it in like 2 years.
Speaking of enemies, I do love that Tears of the Kingdom, like within the tutorial even, addresses one of my and a lot of people's biggest criticisms of Breath of the Wild, that it didn't have a huge enemy variety. And then you just got likes. You just got
dude.
weird evil Cian enemies
Those things
running
are scary.
around. Those are a pain in the. Do they eat? I've never like lost to one or even like taken damage from one. Do they eat you like they did in previous games?
They'll suck you up and they'll take random items out of your inventory.
Yep.
And then they'll spit you back out, but they do a lot of damage.
Yep. That tracks.
So it's like, oh man, that really good shield I had that had the flamethrower on it, it's gone.
I still have that. I gotta use that more. Like that's a really good and a fun solution to a lot of problems, I imagine. But okay, next time I do a horde thing, I'm busting that out and just going World War II on those motherfuckers. Yeah. No, the enemy variety is fantastic so far. I haven't seen any Guardians, and I think
as far as I can tell, they're all gone.
Which would be weird since that was one of the most dangerous and most interesting enemies in the original game. But I think
they cleared them out.
Yeah, because they were infested with Calamity, which is wildly distinct and entirely different brand than Gloom.
Yeah, dude. It may look exactly the same, but the Calamity didn't have just a giant pile of hands chasing after you, scaring the absolute shit out of you. Have you come across one of those fuckers yet?
No, I have not.
Oh my god. I was so scared. I just came over a hill, and from like half a mile away, I'm like, what's that weird blob thing off in the distance? And it was just a giant series of hands that spotted me from really far away and chased me the fuck down until I got back to my horse and could run away as fast as I could. It made the sky black when it gets close to you. That shit was terrifying.
Did you catch a horse, or is a horse? Do you have the opportunity to like?
I caught a horse, I tamed it, and then I brought it to a stable and named it. I heard like they said that if you were playing this on the same console as Breath of the Wild, your horses would carry over, but mine aren't there. So I don't know if I didn't do something right.
Weird.
Yeah. What about you? Did you catch a horse or like import
No, I was never good at that in the first game, so I haven't done that yet. But I'm still early enough that like flying around and stuff, it hasn't been too big of an issue yet. Although getting to, oh god, what was this? Haas, the captain up in Hyrule Castle, that was a pain in the ass.
That was because you just had to like keep walking, and people were like, "He's farther up."
And then you like get to the top, and it's like, well, I'll build materials to make a cart to get back, and it's like, you can't really steer this thing in any kind of meaningful way. So that's not,
I haven't found one of the control sticks yet. I know that they're there so that you can actually steer your vehicles. But...
So you can pilot the giant flaming dick Gundam eventually. Exactly. Oh my god. It sucks that, man, this might be the last trend on Twitter. People posting the weird creations in Breath of the Wild. Speaking of enemies, though, have you run into a tree yet?
Yeah. Did not like that. I was so surprised.
That was such a oh my god, what is happening? And like, I shouldn't be at all.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
And like, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that fucking Trent like one of the oldest fantasy tropes exist in this very fantasy game. But like, it was cool to see an Everman out in the wild and terrifying and weird. And like, I set one on fire and it like shook around like a tree would if it was sentient and on fire. And that's all incredible.
Oh man, I don't know what else is there. I've done two of the towers. Have you come
Okay.
across any of the enemies wearing like the armor?
No,
Oh,
I saw a tip about them that like, hey, don't use swords against these guys. Uh Idiot. You use a hammer or something.
yeah, like you can because you can break the armor off of them with like blunt
Oh.
damage.
Huh.
And then they're just as easy to kill as all the other ones. But the first time I came across one, they were like in an enemy base,
Yeah.
and I wanted to like get to the tower. So I went in there and I snuck up on them and did a sneak strike with a sword, and it did zero damage.
Oh
And it
my
just
God.
alerted everyone that I was there, and then they killed me.
I, like we just spent a long time talking about like the mechanics of this game. And like didn't bring up like, yeah, there are like direct combat only mechanics like the sneak strike or the shield parry or the dodge where you can go into a flurry attack. And like there are just so many ways to play this game. And like I forget that those mechanics exist half the time because my approach to this game is usually, yeah, I'm gonna figure out how to chuck a bomb in there or draw their attention or do some more like immersive sim element than like get really good at parrying or dodging to win encounters.
Yeah, I kind of play the encounters like they're a puzzle. And you can just win by being good at pressing buttons at the right time. Like that's fine. Like the combat mechanics in this game are not bad.
Was do you know if throwing materials was a thing
Nope.
in okay. That is
That's all new.
that is also a thing I'm doing more of.
Yeah. Because
Just
I you don't have to like I know it'll do more damage, but like if you want to set someone on fire, you don't have to shoot them with an arrow that has a fire fruit on it. You can
right.
just throw the fire fruit at them and they'll light on fire.
Yeah.
Which I assume you can also do that to like start a fire and make it like an updraft. You can just throw that shit on the ground and set everything on fire.
I I ran into that. I ran into that in the early part of the game where I'm like, hey, without Rivali's Gale, without like updrafts, I've kind of forgotten how to navigate to some parts of the map. And then I got the Ascend ability, and it's like, oh, this is like the Rivali's Gale equivalent. Like this is
Mm-hmm.
how I would do yeah. Oof. It's good. It's
It is good.
um I guess like this is better. This game is better to Zelda 2. It's not totally clear what she has going on, but at least she is participating in the events of this game a little bit more than the past one.
Yeah.
I I'm picking up on like there being divergent timelines. Like
Yeah.
she's
I
in the
mean,
past sticking around right now.
she's
Yeah,
definitely in the past
right.
and like sending messages out into the future for Link to find. Um,
I have no idea what Ganondorf's deal is still.
I I have not come across hydrated Ganondorf yet.
No.
I don't know at what point you figure that shit out.
Mm-hmm. Um, what else? God, it's so much is going on in this game. I haven't gotten back to the Great Plateau yet either, and I wonder if anything weird or interesting. Would you be at the Shrine of Resurrection to get? Hmm.
Yeah,
I
the Shrine of Resurrection is in this game. You can
okay.
get there.
Okay.
I have come across the Great Plateau. It does not look, it is not the plateau. It is not like a super high tower in the sky anymore.
Right.
It's like it got brought back down to earth.
During the
The
upheaval, some stuff was
upheaval.
sent up, some stuff went down. Very confusing.
Hmm.
Who knows? Okay, that is fantastic now. And I imagine if I'm going to the Rito area, I'll be headed generally that way anyway. Um, God, I don't. This game is just so impressive and so like effortless. Well, I don't want to say effortlessly brilliant because obviously a lot of incredibly talented and hardworking people spent a ton of time working on this, but it just feels so effortlessly masterful that how are they even doing some of this stuff? How do you code the fuse mechanic, the ultra hand stuff into this game where like this is a fantasy game, but you can definitely like build a
A
mech.
contraption, my guy. You can
Yes.
build a fucking contraption.
I've seen people build like engines, like motors in here
Mm-hmm.
using actual engineering principles. And how does that work in a video game that has a smaller download size than a Call of Duty update?
Yeah, dude. Like, I am thoroughly impressed with how well this game has been running. Like
Yeah,
considering like the draw distances it has to do, and I know they did all this shit in Breath of the Wild, but like there's just so much more going on.
right.
Like there's 3 layers of this world, and they're all as big as each other.
Seemingly, yeah. I I've yet to go back to a Sky Island though, and I only made one trip underground, so I'm not totally sure how those spaces work yet.
There, I know that there are areas that are denser. The Sky Islands are not like everywhere, so I guess I shouldn't say they're just as big
Yeah.
because, you know, I launched myself in the air with one of the towers, and I did land on some Sky Islands, but there wasn't really a whole lot going on there.
Okay.
I know there are areas with like actual puzzles and like ones that have their own shrines and that kind of
Right.
stuff, but not
Um,
everywhere.
do you that white dragon that's hanging out in the tutorial area, is that new? Is that a new dragon
I don't
or
know. I don't know if that was a new dragon or if that was the because there was 3 in the
right, if
first
that
one. There
was
was like a
one of the
yellow
ones,
one, a green one,
yeah.
and a blue one. I
Yeah,
don't know if this is supposed to be the blue one or if it's completely different.
right. And that was before the part of the game where I had unlocked a camera so I can like take a picture and like glean from that what was up there. This game has a bestiary in it. You can take pictures of monsters, you can take pictures of animals and items and
Yeah.
stuff, and like it's not just set it to a sensor and then you'll know when it's nearby. It's like actual like, hey, you want a little lore, you want a little info about this world, which is superfluous, but I find so endearing. I You got anything else? Like I'm enjoying talking about this so much, but it's really making me just want to like
Play it
play
more.
it even more, you know?
Yeah.
That's the thing I have to do though. I have to figure out how to like set an allowance for time playing this so I don't get burnt out. And also like, how do I fit this in with other games I want to play this year? Because Final Fantasy 16 is out in like a month and a week. And I also got to play that.
Yeah. I don't know, dude, because you could just go and like straight face this game and get the story done and that kind of stuff, but like you could also just spend a ton of time doing wacky shit for no other reason than doing the wacky shit. And the
Right.
wacky shit's fun. Like that my one criticism of this game, and this sounds so disingenuous, like the what's your one flaw? It's I'm a perfectionist. It's like this is kind of too much video game. It's very big. There's a lot of stuff to do, and there's so many mechanics. All of them are fun.
It's
It's
like
like you just keep like you're not gonna be able to progress at a good enough pace.
And like that was an advantage that Breath of the Wild had over this one because nobody was quite sure how big that game was. Like I remember playing the tutorial, the Great Plateau, and then like I did that entire area. And I forget if I just never thought to zoom the map out or if it doesn't let you until you finish the tutorial. But then the map pulls out as far as it could, and I realized I was on a very small space there. But I am now going into this game knowing that there's as much space as Breath of the Wild and even more to do in it.
Yeah,
It's intimidating.
it is. I
But
mean,
like
it is really one of those games where they're like, this is the last game you ever need to play, at least for a while. Like you could play this for a really long time, but that's not realistic.
no. And like the stuff I want to do isn't even like waypoints on a map half the time. Like the first time I went back to the main area after the tutorial, the lookout or whatever, the chasm lookout, castle lookout, whatever it's called. It came back there after running around for a little bit, met a bird man who was like, "Hey, I'm a reporter. Bet you'd be a good one too." And I'm like, I've never wanted a Birdman to tell me anything more in my life. Where do I go?
Hey, he's a pelican. I haven't seen one
He's
of
a
those
pelican.
in this game before. Just a pelican guy.
I think that might be a One Piece reference, actually.
Are you
I don't.
serious?
Yeah, I don't fucking know. Yeah. So like, I got to play more of this game. I got to
Yeah.
figure out what's up. I want even more weirdos to show. I haven't met Hatsu yet. I wonder what that dude's gotten up to in the indeterminate amount of time between the two games.
Oh yeah, I need to find him too.
Right. I forgot how limited that weapon space was. Like you fill up those 7 or whatever slots so fast. Hmm. Okay. I have no idea how long we were talking about this, but this feels like a good break point. Um, Thank you all so much for listening to the 222nd episode of the Voluntary Viewing podcast, which will be some dumb title like The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Spectacular or something like that. I don't know. I'll figure it out in post. If you like what you heard, like, comment, subscribe, etc. Check us out, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok for highlight clips. ActBlue link in the description. Support us on Patreon and join the likes of the terrific Tiffany Cole, Sucky Badger, and sensual Richard Nixon. Follow us on Twitter at V2_podcast for updates, and follow me at Lucas the Writer on Twitter to keep up with all of my writing. Thank you all so much for listening. If you liked what you heard, wait, I did that at the top. Fuck me. Have a great week. Goodbye. Enjoy Zelda if you're playing it. If you're not, you should be. Bye.